You're listening to Longbox Crusade Podcast, Episode 37, featuring Green Lantern Volume 3, Issue 54, cover dated August 1994. Hello and welcome to the 37th episode of the Longbox Crusade. I'm your host, Pat, aka DJ Christados. The Longbox Crusade is a podcast where each episode, a random cover month and year is chosen, and then an issue is selected from one of the Longbox Crusade crew members' comic collection. Each episode we will summarize, review, and reminisce about the issue, ads, and events of that time period. Joining me for this episode is Jarrod Albrick, the yard sale artist, a.k.a. Death Probe.
Hello, Pat.
Hello.
Excited to talk about this. This is in the heyday of the DARRYL Banks art for Green Lantern, and I'm going to just continue to talk as much as I can on this episode about meeting Mr. DARRYL Banks a few weeks ago at Dragon Con. He drew an original piece of James Bond art for me. He drew Jaws. Richard Kiel is Jaws. It's amazing.
I saw that, yeah. That
super nice awesome guy. Spent a lot of time chatting with me, my family. I took some pictures with my kids. And, yep. More DARRYL Banks stories to come. You got that to look forward to because I am very fancy.
I was waiting for the fanciness to actually show up. Took a little bit, but, you know, it did. Yep.
Me and my best friend, Daryl.
Well,
my other best friend, Daryl.
And Daryl.
For those people who are old enough to get that joke.
Well, let's move on so we can get to more fanciness down the road here. And we will say hello to Jason the Weasel Skull Albrick. How fancy are you?
Pretty fancy, Pat. I know you got short internet, so I'll make this quick. Jarrod got to meet Banks recently. At the last con I went, I met Ron Mars. So between the two of us, we got the writer and the penciler. Ron and I talked about Sojourn mostly, though.
That was a good one.
Oh,
I like Sojourn. And let's not forget about Delvin the Dark Web Williams. Hello, Delvin. How are you?
I'm good, Pat. And I'm a little bit hungry. So I'm going to get me a snack from the fridge. Oh, my God.
Yikes.
What? You know what? I lost my appetite. I'm good. I'll just deal with some tap water.
You know, Jeffrey Dahmer would be like, what's the problem, bro?
Yogurt back in there. Just got to work around those those ribs there.
Got some lady fingers. Oh, that was just.
Whoa.
Let's not joke about cannibalism. It's creepy.
Well, speaking about creepiness, let's go ahead and creep into what your guys' current crusade is in 10 words or less. And we'll start with Jarrod. What's your current crusade? 10 words or less. I seen you like,
Alan Porter, Agent October comic strip.
What?
Am I allowed to elaborate?
I don't. According to Delvin, no.
All right.
That's just
in. Mystery
Delvin
then.
says no.
You can do it in 4 words.
I just didn't get the October, but
go ahead, Jarrod. Say it.
So Mighty Mark Hatherley and I have taken our comic Shipwrecker, which is it's currently being inked and colored. It's almost done.
Mm-hmm.
And as we build towards the campaign for that, we're going to do a 3-panel comic strip, newspaper strip style, about our character from that. Alan Porter is the character in that.
Okay.
And he's basically a James Bond super spy type, and he's going to be going up against paranormal, because, you know, in our Shipwrecker, he goes against zombies. And so he's going to be entering into that world. So you're going to see some James Bond, vampire, werewolf, all of that kind of stuff. 3 panels at a time. Mark and I will probably be doing live streams of us, probably right here on the Longbox Crusade Network on our YouTube channel, making this comic strip. So that's something Mark and I say we're going to go ahead on. I've already written the first 3 strips, more to come.
Interesting.
I think that was 10 words.
Yes, in a roundabout way. But, because you're so fancy, we decided to let it just kind of happen.
Yeah, DARRYL Banks told me that he fully approves of this idea. Yeah, Alan Porter's going to, spoiler alert, around strip number 4 or 5, he's going to get his agent. He's going to be Agent October because there's 12 of these agents, one for every month,
okay, that
are in the paranormal, or instead of MI6, it's MI13.
That's unlucky.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to this to see where things go. And Shipwrecker, man, that's a really cool name.
Came up with it on my own. Thanks, Pat.
I know you did. Yep. Jason, what's your crusade? 10 words or less and no elaboration allowed anymore.
Jason's internet's not working good, so let me talk a little more about Agent October.
Whoa.
All right, Mary Jane. Okay. Taking leave in October to write. I'm trying to think if I should say the name.
Went over. Bum, 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 bum.
Nosferatu. There.
Oh my goodness, Jason's actually going to write Nosferatu. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you've inspired him with your fanciness.
Yep. Put in the leave 2 weeks ago. Look for an open block, and so
there you go.
Do nothing but sit here, write Nosferatu for a week.
Awesome. One more book for Mark to pencil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want Mark to pencil that bad boy too. I'm gonna make it hard too. Hard. Mark, there's like wheels everywhere. Just wheels. And I mean different size wheels. I mean tractor wheels, motorcycle wheels, bicycle wheels, tricycle wheels, big wheels.
Just technology, as much technology as you can possibly drop.
And then in the back, a wheel of fortune.
I like how 2 of these crusades have to do with Mark drawing stuff. So I think Delvin's going to come up with something for Mark to draw on his turn.
We could see maybe possibly a Silver Hands comic being produced. Possibly.
I like where that's going.
I would dig that. But let's actually find out what Delvin's got for your current crusade.
Really would have to do something with Silver Hands. And Silver Hands has just been laying there on the vine for some time now.
Yeah.
But left her back at rookie ages. And people call me Silver Hands, but Silver Hands was a woman. Unlike Mickey Free. Mickey Free was a dude, but Silver Hands was a... Anyway, my 10 words... Damn it, my own bit against me. Got back from Blue Ridge Rock Fest. Great time.
And what's this have to do with Mark drawing?
Mark was there, of course, and he drew pictures of me at the festival. I mean, that may or may not be true. I'll leave it up to you to decide whether or not I just totally made that up just to fit what you needed it to say, Jarrod.
I appreciate that. And I wanted to remind the listening audience, whether this is in the outtakes or gets cut altogether, that I actually pitched the Silver Hands idea to James Bond novelist Raymond Benson, to which he said, "The hell are you talking about?"
Raymond Benson has been on my hit list ever since then. It's like, that bully from 3rd grade, Raymond Benson. Is
All right, Pat.
Yes.
What do you got Mark working on for you?
I have Mark working on for me pictures of me cleaning up my surrounding basement. You can't see it because I got this cool setup down here, but cleaning up basement for several days.
Man, he was so confident he used the same word twice.
Yes, yeah.
You could have put in 2 more severals.
Well, make it nice because that's where I'm planning on staying when I get to Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing it. Actually, is because I need to make it all fancy up for you, and so I'm doing some late fall cleaning is what's going on.
I missed something. When does Jarrod come to visit Pat? What's going on here?
I haven't. I'm just saying.
How come me and Jason aren't invited? Like, I mean, what is it? Just you two having your little sleepover?
Yeah.
Gonna like paint each other's toenails and eat popcorn and shit.
We're gonna call you guys and then hang up.
Hey, Delvin, is your fridge running?
Better go catch it. Oh,
Like,
You
it's
called my
like-
cell phone. I know it was you.
I know it's you. I don't even have to star 69. Like, I can see your picture.
It literally says Pat Sampson.
We're going to video chat you and hang up. Oh, it'd be fun. Well, you guys are always welcome to come here, hang out with me. As always, it'll be a fun time. But speaking about being a fun time, we want to invite everybody to also be a part of the show by submitting your comments and memories, which will be read later on in the show. All links and pictures for this episode will be provided in the show notes, which can be found at the website, longboxcrusade.com. Please add the podcast to your favorite podcast feed or on Apple Podcast. And don't forget to leave us, a rating and a review. We would love to have some new iTunes Apple Podcast reviews. You can also follow the podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at Longbox Crusade. We hope you come along with us as we continue on the crusade to read them all. Now, before we get started with this episode's issue, let's take a quick podcast promo break, and we will be right back.
Just when you thought it was safe to hear a podcast promo.
JL May do brave and bold do comic books do JL May.
JL May do brave and the bold do comic books do JL May. JL May do brave and the bold do comic books do JL May.
JL May do brave and bold do comic books do JL May.
The annual podcast crossover event celebrating the Justice League is back. And we're covering the 2007 Brave and the Bold series that started with Mark Waid and George freaking Perez and ended with J. Michael Straczynski. Throughout the month of May, participating podcasts will release special episodes on issues in the run. It all kicks off in the Overlooked Dark Knight podcast. Follow the event on social media using the hashtag JLMay2023. Coming this May.
JL May do brave and the bold do comic books do Mephisto. Hey!
Welcome back from the break. Today's adventure from the Long Box is Green Lantern Volume 3, number 54. Cover date was August 1994. The credits for this issue are provided by Mike's Amazing World of Comics website. Publisher was DC. Got a cover date of August 1994, but its on-sale date was June 21st, 1994. Cover price was $1.50. Editor was Kevin J. Dooley. Writer is Ron Mars. Penciler, Steve Carr. Another penciler is Derek Aucoin. And another penciler is Mr. Fancy himself, DARRYL Banks.
Nice guy.
Yeah. Did you guys know Jarrod met him?
I heard it once or 14 times.
That's good. I'm going to talk about some more later on.
This podcast alone. He said a lot.
Inker was Romeo Tangal. Letter goes to Albert Tobias de Guzman. Colorist is Steve Matson. This was reprinted in Green Lantern, A New Dawn trade paperback from 1998. Also, Green Lantern Emerald Twilight / New Dawn trade paperback for 2003. And Green Lantern Kyle Rayner Volume 1 trade paperback. The cover credits go to penciler DARRYL Banks.
Good dude.
Inker Romeo Tangal. And speaking about the cover, let's get a cover description from Jarrod.
All right. Admittedly, I forgot to do a cover description in advance of this, so this is doing it live. So, the DC Bullet logo, the one we all know and love, is in red and white in the top left corner. The Green Lantern title font is yellow with red highlights, which is weird, but the vast majority of the cover is green, so it makes it stand out. And you've got yourself a Kyle Rayner. He's down on one knee. He's made some sort of giant Liefeldian bazooka that he's using to blast Major Force, who is in the foreground, rocking his head back. And it says Deadly Force on the cover in the same color as Major Force, who those of you know that he's purple. So it's got a lot of energy, and my good friend DARRYL Banks drew it. And I think that's the most important takeaway from this cover description.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how friendly was DARRYL?
He was an easy 10. Just 10. He was great. chatted with me. We talked James Bond. We talked about him growing up. We talked about his son who was in the military. So we talked about the military service connection. Just a good dude. Nice guy. I think his father was military too. He said skipped a generation.
I have seen him at several of the cons we were at before. I never talked to him, but he always seemed like a very approachable kind of dude.
Yeah, I remember he was at Heroes Con, just like maybe 2 rows off from me, because I remember I could see him from where I was sitting, and I wanted to go chat with him, but we weren't friends yet. But now we are.
Now you are. Oh, well, maybe you can introduce us the next time we're at Heroes Con.
Sounds good.
Well, all right. Well, with that, let's go ahead and get our thoughts on the cover. So let's go around and find out what you guys thought on the cover, and we'll start with Jason.
First thought is this really screams 90s. Number one, you got Kyle Rayner. You got a big bazooka. I kind of like it. I think, it's very green. Hopefully the artist didn't run out of green pens or whatever they used to color this with. But, lots of green. Big gun. Kyle Rayner. Major Force getting blasted in the face. Yeah, I like it. I'm going to stop there.
Delvin, what do you think about the cover?
Given that the 90s sometimes just had these ridiculously gaudy, out of control covers everywhere, it's a good cover. I mean, it's Green Lantern, so you can use a lot of green. And I think they use a lot of green to contrast the color of Major Force, which I'm glad y'all told me his name because I read the doggone book and I swear I didn't remember seeing his name. But Major Force is purple, so it definitely made him stand out, being blasted by that makeshift cannon that Kyle Rayner rigged up from his own mind. So I think it's a good cover. Absolutely nothing to complain about. I think this is a cover you could probably look at today and see on the stands. I think the artwork is that good and clean, so it's nice to see a cover like that from the 90s being able that I could expect to see something like this of that same quality today.
Jarrod, what's your thoughts?
It's a really cool cover. It's very high energy. And one of the things that I like about it that kind of makes it unique from a lot of other covers is we've kind of mentioned it's really carried by color. And by that, I mean, really the only figures that are really drawn and inked are Kyle and Major Force. Everything else is very subdued. You can tell that they probably drew and inked the laser cannon and some of the debris behind Kyle, but they've muted that down, really brought up the color. And so really the only things that stand out as truly inked drawings, again, are Kyle and Major Force, which really kind of draws your eye to it and really sells that great green energy everywhere going on thing. And I think it's really kind of a unique take and pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. This was a simple but yet very interesting cover to see. And to see what's going on in the background behind Kyle, you have his girlfriend, Alex, kind of just sprout out on the floor. And I think it's, he's, as we'll get into the story, he is just unleashing here in this one, giving it all he's got.
He had a reason to.
Yeah. This is the early issues of Kyle Rayner's run on Green Lantern. I think just maybe several issues before is where you had the whole Hal Jordan kind of phasing out and Kyle coming in. So this is the start of Kyle's big run here. Well, with the cover out of the way, let's go ahead and get to a synopsis. And that's brought to you by me. So I took some of this from DC Wiki, and the title goes Forced Entry. Major Force is tasked to retrieve the Green Lantern ring and find everything he can about the glowing green rock. The agency that hires him gives him information about Alex DeWitt, who was seen with Green Lantern. That same day, Kyle learns about weird sightings of random things popping up everywhere. Kyle goes to investigate the events, leaving Alex alone in the house. Bad move. Moments later, after Kyle leaves, Alex answers someone knocking at the door. A strange man shows up, giving flowers to Alex, and Alex reads the letter. I'm going to kill you. Horrified Alex runs away from Major Force and tries to defend herself using a kitchen knife. Unfortunately, Major Force resists the knife and strangles her. Meanwhile, Kyle finds Los Angeles was replaced with the same city but from the future. After saving a woman from falling debris, the futuristic city and its inhabitants fade away, bringing the LA of 1994 back into place. When Kyle returns home, he finds a note telling him to check for a surprise in the fridge. As he opens the door, Kyle finds Alex's corpse stuffed in it. As Kyle starts to panic, Major Force shows up behind him, taking credit for the kill. Filled with anger, Kyle brutally attacks Major Force, but as he stands ready to deal with the killing blow, his ring runs out of energy, with Major Force going for his throat. All right, well, let's go ahead and find out what you guys thought about the story. And, I'm just going to lay it out here up front. When I was picking this, I didn't know what the story was. I haven't read much Kyle. I kind of started fading away towards the end of the late 40s of this issue, but I still continued to collect it. I just got sidetracked and doing some other stuff. So I've never read this issue before, but I've heard so much about the story of what happens in here that it was actually kind of interesting to read it and see how it actually played out. So this was just a random thing. And by the time I picked it and actually looked it up, I'm like, oh, wow, this was an odd thing to pick, but hopefully we'll get some good conversation in about it. So let's go ahead and go around and see what you guys' thoughts are on the story. And let's start with Delvin.
I did not read Kyle Rayner's Green Lantern. At 1994 time, I wasn't reading DC comic books, period. Actually, I was probably collecting a few Marvel comic books, and I was collecting Amazing Spidey at this time. So I know that Kyle Rayner was, the new Green Lantern at the time. That's about all I knew about it. This storyline was macabre. Macabre's a good word. Like you could, how it is. Like Miranda and I are watching a movie, and you see something set up, and there's like this character that just seems all nice and pure and good, and everything's going great. Sometimes, I lean towards like, he gonna die. He gonna die. Yeah. And I read this, and I'm reading it, and old girl and Kyle were getting along, and everything was all lovey-dovey. And then he was even like, do you want to go with me to this place to figure out what's going on? She's like, nah, it's my day off. I'm just going to chill. I'm just going to be here and everything. I love you. Come back. I got a surprise for you. And by surprise, I mean sex. And it's like, and then sure enough, I'm sitting there looking like, she going to die. And sure enough, I knew nothing about Major Force. And I give this girl credit because she fought her butt off. She tried. Mm-hmm. And that made it somehow like just worse because it's like she was literally pushing against the mountain, and it just wasn't. And then like, I don't even think Major Force, I know nothing about Major Force at all. So if y'all do give me an education, but Major Force didn't even have to do that. Like that was gratuitous and just mean-spirited and ugly to set up Kyle Rayner like that to when he comes in and opens it to find her in the oh my God, terrifying. That's a good enough place to stop. I was mortified at the simplicity of the evilness of the bad guy. That was, I guess that's the way you write a comic book, because I can still vividly remember reading it, and they didn't even show it really, other than just Kyle's horror. Yeah. It was good storytelling by both the art team and the writer to depict it the way they did, because it definitely left a lasting impression. Yeah, definitely. I agree. Like I said, this is the first time me reading it through. I have heard about, this issue and, what it brings up about fridging. That concept is from this particular thing, but I agree with you, Dylan. Very well done in the storytelling and the creative team. Jarrod, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, this is a famous issue, and like you said, it gave birth to the term fridging, and my hot take on that is I hate that term. It is such I know a lot about comics kind of term, because like, are we to pretend like there's never been like the tragic death of a loved one to motivate a superhero before 1994. No, and that's ridiculous. So yes, I'm that guy. Yeah, I always am that guy, right? People say, "Oh, you're familiar with the term fridge?" Just roll my eyes. Like, this concept's last before 1994, but we're gonna pretend like it was birthed here. All right, now that I got that off my chest, guess what, Delvin? The page you saw where he opened up the fridge, that's edited. And if you go online, you can go see the original page. That's much more horrifying and graphic.
I'm good. Thank you. I'm good.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that it was edited. Wow.
Yeah. I just found that out. I was just doing research for this episode. I was kind of surfing around looking at some of the art, and I saw the unedited page, because like on this one, they barely get the door open. And the original page, it was like open fully.
Oh,
I think they closed it some more to get past the censors or something. That's guesswork on my part. I just know I saw an actual page where it was opened, and I was like, oh my goodness. But anyway, enough about bickering about terms and terminology. This story is really, like you said, it's macabre. Delvin said macabre. All the way from Major Force giving her the note that literally says, "I'm going to kill you." And to answer your question, Delvin, I think Major Force, I reserve the right to be wrong, but I think he is from the Captain Atom universe. I think he's a Captain Atom bad
I believe guy. I've heard that he was a captain.
He was like another attempt to make another Captain Atom, and it went wrong. So some blah blah blah. Anyways, so he gives her that note, and that really kicks off the whole darkness of it. But it really, the thing I think that gets overlooked, because people just kind of get hung up on that whole she got killed and stuffed in the fridge, and for 1994, that was pretty rough. But I think what gets overlooked a lot is the great cliffhanger ending, man. Like, first of all, Major Force is kind of like Captain Atom. He's supposed to have like this unpenetrable skin, and Kyle's so amped and he penetrates that skin. Even Major Force is like, what? That's like basically getting cuts and penetrated skin on like Luke Cage. It's not easy. He was like, what? And he's totally winning. He's got the upper hand, and the ring goes out, and that's your cliffhanger ending. And that is what I thought was really the gem of the storytelling, because I'm sitting there going, I want to read the next issue, and every good writer will do that. So,
and not only did the ring give out, like right before that, you had Kyle Rayner, the superhero, that's like, I am going to kill you.
Yeah,
like,
and I was on board for it. I was okay with it. I mean, License to Kill is my favorite Bond movie.
Stop the man's girl in the fridge. Yeah.
What do you expect?
A Sharky MFer. Hey, his name is MF, by the way.
Major Force.
But yeah, to bring it up on a more comedic note before I go and we test Jason's internet, I really like the part where he's getting back together with his girl, and she's like, well, Kyle Rayner, she kind of takes off her outfit. She's like, you going to stay? You going to go? And I was like, what's the defining characteristic of a Green Lantern? Willpower. He ain't got it. He ain't got it. But for all the right reasons. With that, let's test Jason's internet.
So a little context. I first became familiar with Kyle Rayner's Green Lantern when I started reading the Grant Morrison run of JLA. So I knew a little bit about the history. I knew that there was a terrible murder of his girlfriend. I read about it through that title. And so when I got this book, this was really the first kind of Kyle Rayner Green Lantern comic that I've read. And when I started reading through it, I said, oh, I think this might be that issue. And it turned out that it was. And I guess my prejudice going into it, I always just kind of thought like the 90s Green Lantern was kind of like some sci-fi action, a lot of good sci-fi action, but maybe not as much complex storytelling. After reading this, I was, number one, really impressed with the relationship between Alex and Kyle. I felt it was real. I felt that they were a real couple that were going through real struggles and were working hard to turn a corner. And so when Major Force comes in there and takes that away from him, I felt that. I felt like I understand where he's coming from. This isn't just some girl that he's met. This is some girl that he really cared about. So that part of the story really resonated with me. So it made the action and the violence that much more real and visceral to me. I also like the science fiction aspect of it. It left us with a good mystery as to why future Los Angeles was appearing in modern Los Angeles. That was very interesting and exciting scene. And finally, like you talked about, left it a great cliffhanger. And it obviously Kyle Rayner's still figuring out this ring bit because, he's like, I'm going to kill you. And he was doing a pretty good job in this fight with Major Force. And then he's like, to quote Billy Bob Thornton, it's in Sling Blade, got no gas in it. So he's in a bit of a spot.
Yeah.
So all told, really good emotional story, really good action, good mystery, good cliffhanger. I was much more impressed with this story than I thought I was going to be.
Yeah, it is very interesting in this issue. Like you said, Jason, again, I haven't read a lot of Kyle on this. So reading this through, it was dense. It was action. It was, as Delvin said, macabre in a way that it was a really good story. And I actually was reading it and wanting to continue to read it on and was not distracted to, do something else or stop reading it. I wanted to turn the page to see how this all turned out. And I thought this was very well drawn, very well written, and the building up of Kyle's character and where he is and where he comes from. Now, an interesting thing on this, as we talk about the Los Angeles from the future, in the letterbox area, they actually talk about that because during this time in 1994, there was an earthquake that happened. And so they were wondering whether or not they should release this or shouldn't release this. So very odd take on this as far as what happens due to Kyle's girlfriend, that they didn't, really think about what it was. They were concerned about the actual, how the public was going to take it because of the recent earthquake activity that LA had experienced at this time. And I found it very interesting that they mentioned that in it. And then they also point to where people could donate some money to, like the American Red Cross, American Foundation, United Way, different things like that to help with the people at the time in 1994 that had to deal with the earthquake. So to have that be kind of the focus, I thought was really interesting compared to what it has now become several years later. But with that, does anybody have anything else you want to talk about with the story?
I know I did my hot take before, but I don't get why it's such a thing. I mean, I guess maybe because it's the first time they went kind of maybe that dark in a Green Lantern, in 94. But like I said, that's not a new storytelling concept. Yeah. So like I don't know why it became such a thing, a touchstone. But maybe I can admittedly say that I didn't read it when it was new. So maybe that's all the difference, And the first time I ever read it was for this recording, and I went, "Oh, I've heard of this," and I went, it must be terrible and bad. I guess I had it built up in my head, and then I read it. I was like, "Okay, this probably go find you 100 movies that have this a storytelling trope." True. So I don't get it.
I'll just throw in, after reading the Superman Doomsday and then reading this, I didn't feel as connected to the villain Doomsday or that whole plot of the Superman story as I did in this moment. I thought they did a really good job of setting this up. I mean, the villain here is psychotic.
Yeah.
And he has pushed Kyle Rayner to the point where Kyle Rayner's ready to kill.
Yeah, Kyle is definitely taken to a limit here, along with then, as it was mentioned, that his actual ring power is just totally wasted away too. So it really interesting on the storytelling on this, as it really pulled me in. And as Jarrod mentioned, I want to read the next issue to see where things go from here. What happens with Kyle? How does he get his ring charge back on? What happens, with his girlfriend? Does he take out Major Force? Or what's going on? It really got me interested into following this series for Kyle.
I would be interested to see why the ring cut out, even though I think I know why the ring cut out. Would you like me to share my theory?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
he was about to kill Major Force. Like, and at the time, the Green Lantern ring, you could not kill with it. And I think the ring was like, no. And like, I mean, because like he very, very, very clearly detailed exactly what he was going to do next. Like, I mean, I think he had like a weapon, like an axe or something sharp that was about to come down on Major Force. Yeah, and he was about to use Major Force on Major Force. So I think the ring was like, nope, can't do it. I think only until very recently did they retract that mandate from the Green Lantern ring about the ability to kill. But at 94, there's no way that mandate was lifted, and I think that was the reason. Of course, that didn't leave him in a good spot with Major Force about to take his doggone head off behind him. That was one heck of a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm. As Jason had mentioned too, is Major Force is really a kind of psychotic guy. And you can tell that the buildup they were doing with him, especially in the plane that was taking him here to do it, he just totally flips out on the person that is kind of hiring him, or assistant, or somebody that is hiring him to figure this out, or to get him to go after Kyle and get the ring back. He just flips out on him as well too. So, man, what a buildup. Well, since we got the story out of the way, let's take a look at the art. And as you know, some of the art was done by Jarrod's good friend, DARRYL Banks.
Good dude.
So let's go ahead and talk about the art. What you guys think about the art? And we'll go to Jarrod.
Well, the art in this one is a literal mixed bag. There's 3 different pencilers. Their styles aren't so different that it's jarring, but you can tell a difference. Mm-hmm. You can see which pencilers pretty much did what pages, but somehow it works. I think they may have broken it up pretty well, and that, you know, I think one penciler did sort of the pre-stuff with Alex, and then I think another penciler did some of the city from the future, and then another penciler did the big battle at the end. Just kind of generally how it was broken up.
Yep.
But it was all good, and it wasn't too distracting. Sometimes a 3-penciler book can be, but I thought overall it was great, especially, and I think it was my buddy Darryl who did the fight at the end, especially that fight at the end was really high energy, high emotion, all that stuff. Pretty much everything with Major Force in it. Those high energy, high emotion moments were really, really done well. And with that, let's find out what Delvin thinks.
I almost couldn't tell the difference in the artwork between the 3, but it probably was just a sure sign that I was involved in the story. I thought all 3 of the artists had a good comparable artwork. You know, sometimes when you do that 3-on-1, it's just disjointed and a little bit ugly, but that wasn't the case here. Like, maybe they had to rush this book out, and maybe they wanted to, you know, get a Green Lantern book out that month, and so they had to go with penciler by committee, but the book didn't suffer as a result of it, which may have just meant that it's possible they knew that this was coming up, and Ron Mars was able to do a good coordination act between the 3 people. So I thought it turned out very well.
Yeah, I'd be interested in the reasoning for the additional pencilers on this. I know coming around the corner here is 0 Hour. So in an issue or 2, they start getting into the 0 Hour, which was going to, you know, change the DC universe again. So perhaps maybe they had to get this stuff done at that, you know, earlier in order to make sure that the other 0 Hour stuff comes out on time. I don't know. But like Delvin, I also didn't really notice the difference between it all as well too. I really thought that the panel layouts that they used in certain areas really fit to tell the story well, especially in the action fights. And then earlier on in the panel layout where you see Kyle and Alex just kind of hanging out, where she invites him in, and then you just get that 4-panel across the top where his is like different facial expressions. And then you have the 2 panels of her, you know, him kind of walking in the door. And then you have her, you know, you just hit the jackpot, Tiger.
Yeah.
I thought that was really well laid out, and just made me, you know, I want to say feel for him, but it's like, oh yeah, this is, you can just feel his excitement and the surprise of what's going on there. So
yeah, there were a couple of good moments, and I'm sure either one of you can tell me a little bit more since y'all have that attention to detail. But I think maybe all three pencilers kind of got a good moment, because there was that moment where, Face the Tiger, you just hit the jackpot moment. And then there was that chilling moment with the refrigerator. And then there was that splash page at the end. All three of those were really, really big moments within the book. And I wonder if each artist got a chance to do that. But either way, all three of them were well done.
That's a good question, Delvin. I guess I couldn't tell between all three of those. Jason, what's your thoughts on the art?
Overall, I thought it was pretty solid. A lot of times when you have multiple artists on the book, and I apologize if this got covered already, sometimes it can feel disjointed and haphazard. It can kind of take you out of the story. But all of the artists here, from the colorists, the inkers, the pencilers, they all seem to be on the same page, no pun intended. So it flowed really well. Everybody's smiling. I'm saying a lot of stuff that's already been covered, I take. Okay. So I thought that was solid. Some of it looked a little rushed. If you look at the panels, there's shortcuts taken on the backgrounds and everything. So I have a feeling maybe they were pushing to get the book out a little bit. But having said that, they still did a really bang up job of covering a lot of ground and telling a really good story. Like I said, Ron Mars really scripted a heck of a story, and the artist did a really good job of supporting it. So although I wouldn't call this A+ work by any stretch of the imagination, it's a solid B for me. So I like it.
All right. Well, speaking about the artwork, now let's get to Jarrod's segment for this episode.
All right, fellas, if you're walking around a convention floor like I was, and you met DARRYL Banks like I did, or any of the other artists on this book, and they say, hey, I've got some original art. You can have any page you want of the art. Which one are you going to take? Peppy Pat.
There are a lot of good pages here, and Delvin and I kind of went through some of them already. I'm going to settle on page 20 of the issue, and it's where out in the outside, Kyle is kind of on his knees and Major Force is in front of him. Then he just kind of lets the ring go and just gives him a big blast in the face, and then gives him a big two big wonks and a crack with his axie kind of hammer. I like that page. The action on it and just the panel layout is very good.
Excellent. Over to you, Delvin.
I'm going to go with the last page. They had just gone through a brutal battle, and it looked like Kyle was about to do something that you don't really expect your superheroes to do. And just him having his back turned, wondering what's going on with the ring, with a very angry Major Force over him about to bring the hammer down, and him saying it's dead and not seeing it. That is a great cliffhanger. And so that would be the page I took. Who drew this page? Was this your very best friend in life, DARRYL Banks?
I think it is my very best friend in life, DARRYL Banks, but I can't say for sure.
Nice. Whoever drew it, that was a fantastic job.
And by the way, I agree with you. It was going to be my pick, was going to be final page. Let's see what Jason says.
This book has a lot of pages you could choose from. And believe me, I was thinking about that. Are you coming or not? Page, that's a nice one. But ultimately, I'm going to go page 22. I believe it was page 22. It was the next to the battle scenes. That one where Major Force is trying to take the ring off his finger. He gives him the full blast to the face. You see the silhouettes of them about to do battle. And then he whips out and goes all Thor hammer to Major Force's tummy feathers and then over the head. I think that's a really good set of action sequences. So I would proudly hang that on my wall.
Wow, looks like we got a separation of two cool guys.
Mm-hmm. Because you just picked the same one that Pat did.
Yep.
I thought he took 20. Page 20, he said, which was the one where he gets stabbed. I thought that's the one that he picked.
No,
I thought you said 20.
Did I? Let me just double check here. Yeah, it's 20.
It's 20 in the original comic. It's 22 on the digital.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll take the other one because
okay.
I was split on that one. No, I actually like that one better, but I took this one because I thought it was left over.
Oh, all right.
So yeah, I like this one where Kyle Rayner, they're just kind of laying into one another, and then he just whips out that Green Lantern, basically prison ship, just like stabs it through Major Force. That one was really cool. That was actually going to be my first choice, so I'll take that.
And then keep in mind, this is Kyle. Kyle is an artist. Like, usually he's the one that comes up with these cool, elaborate things. Oh boy, came up with a shiv.
And a hammer.
He was angry. Just wow. I mean, you couldn't have picked. I mean, you would think that would just be kind of a simple thing, but I can't think of any time. I've read a decent amount of Green Lantern at this point. I've read Green Lanterns, where it has Jessica and, geez, I'm going to forget the other new Lantern's name. I've read Hal Jordan Green Lantern before. I've seen Guy Gardner Green Lantern and read some of his. I don't think I've ever seen a Green Lantern just pull out a shiv and just stab somebody with it. Angry. Gangster.
Yeah.
Straight gangster. Yes. Whew. It was intense.
There was no holds barred on this one. I think he just went to whatever, the anger that was within him and just, I got to take this guy out. All right. Well, with the favorite page of art out of the way, so let's go ahead and find out what memories this brings you back to for 1994, August of 1994 to be exact. And we will start with Jarrod.
All right, summer of 1994. I'm pretty much like out of comics. This is rolling into my just before my senior year of high school. I don't really read much comics, with the exception that I'm still dabbling in Batman, because this is about the time with the breaking of the Bat and Azrael Batman, and then the return of Bruce Wayne. So that's kind of caught my attention. I'm actually kind of interested. This is 94, so my interest is more into video games because it was the law in 1994. This is all about the time you're playing Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, which probably will come up in our added up segment more than likely. So I do remember seeing like Mortal Kombat comics on the shelf and things like that. I think Malibu might have been doing those. So those are the things that were catching my eye. So, but really, I wasn't really reading as much comics. I certainly didn't read this Green Lantern. Really just dabbling in Batman, maybe the occasional Spidey, and just very interested in the world of video games, especially the fighters, which were popular. And that's sort of my broad brush of summer of 90.
Understandable. I, too, was starting to wean on some of the comic book collecting that I was doing. Still getting these because I've had this in my collection since then and was getting it. It got to the point to where, that reading pile we had was starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger because my box at that comic book store was bigger and bigger. And so then having to get money and being out on my own, I was recently living with some other guys after high school. We're like, hey, let's all move out together and do all this. And, you got to pay for that. And so you got to figure out, what are you going to do? Luckily, my comic shop was very cool that they would, kind of let that box build up as much as you can. So it would chip away at it. But as you mentioned, I was definitely for sure reading the Batman that was going on with, the breaking of the Bat, all that was happening around at this time. Definitely, that was one of the major things I wanted to read, and the rest I would put aside. So, Jason, what memory do you have?
Well, 1994, I had just been active duty for about a year, stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. What an S-hole that was. Like Jarrod, I had and like you were saying, I was still reading comics, but really just like X-Men. I was still trying to follow Wildcats, wondering if it was canceled or not, because no Wildcats comics would come out for months at a time. But really, it was just X-Men at that point in time that I was really reading religiously. So it wouldn't be, like I said, until I jumped aboard the Grant Morrison JLA train that I learned about Kyle Rayner and started following his stories. So that's where I was. Low point of comics. I did get my first Sega Genesis, though. Oh, wow. That was a game changer.
It was the law.
Jeez. Yeah, like Jarrod saying that. Mortal Kombat. Oh, my goodness.
And that's what you had. It was a tough decision for us, I think. You had, okay, should I buy a video game or buy this new console? What's going on? Or should I stick with these comics?
Buy some smut.
Yeah. All that going on.
Oh, I'm buying this one.
Smokes, ladies, whatever.
But no heroin.
No heroin. None at all.
You can find some at Fort Hood, I can tell you. But none for me, thank you.
Delvin, what's a memory from 1994?
Jarrod and I being right around the same age, it was about going into senior year of high school for me too. And man, I think the thing that I'm thinking about the most is at that time, I still hadn't decided where I was going to school. Heck, I had applied for maybe a scholarship or two. And I can't remember at that point whether or not I had applied for an Air Force ROTC scholarship or not. I think I did, because you kind of had to be somewhat on the ball about that. But of course, crazy enough, and I think Jarrod knows this, I didn't even know Air Force ROTC existed. The only ROTC that I had at my school was Army ROTC, and so that's all I thought that every high school that would have had.
That's all you need.
Right? So I didn't know, and there was an Army ROTC guy that came through the door, and a lot of times I was fortunate because I had really good grades, and so if there was anybody that came to the school to talk about scholarships, they would come. They would bring me to sit down and talk with them. So Army RTC guy comes in and is like, hey, we can offer you a free ride in college. You get like $100 a month. You just have to go to a field training. You get commissioned as second lieutenant. And I'm like, well, I know what I'm doing once I get out of college, and I get to go to college for free. That sounds good. Sign me up. Sign the paperwork. And then shortly after that, Air Force guy comes and we'll give you $150 a month. And we'll take you, you'll go to field training, and you don't have to carry around an M16 all the time like you have to do over in the Army. And I'm like, I don't even care that much about guns anyway. So heck yeah, sign me up for that. And I wound up getting both of them. And the regret that I have is come senior day, I know this is dragging into 95, but come senior day, both of them showed up, and the Army guy totally got his thunder stolen by the Air Force guy. If I had to do that all over again, I would just have told the Army guy that I took the Air Force scholarship. I kind of feel bad about that. That's a jackass teenage thing to do. So whoever that guy is, if I'm on that guy's list, where he's third grade bully, that punk kid that had me in his high school auditorium and stood me up, and I showed up in my class A's looking all sharp. I'm sorry. That was 45-year-old me apologizes for 17-year-old me, because that wasn't the most mature thing. So
Delvin, I also got brought in whenever the scholarship guys came in. They would put me in the room. They'd give the spiel to the other guys, and they say, "Or do you want to be like that guy?" And they point to me like a cautionary tale.
No, I don't want to be like that guy. That's funny.
What an interesting story that was. Appreciate you sharing that with us, Delvin.
I've heard it before.
Yeah. Seems that it all worked out.
Tell us again about DARRYL Banks, you son of a...
All right. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of this part of the show. You got a comment or a question? Send us an email at contact@longboxcrusade.com, or make a comment on the Longbox Crusade Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram page. You can also leave us a voicemail that we just might play on the show. Leave us a message at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone.
We will be right back. We got it all together for a brand new show. The LBC crew is here, and so away we go. While the LBC crew is running from a spooky ghost, Christatos is doing what he does the most. Hey, come on, get involved till the mystery is solved. Hang around with the LBC crew. Oh, hey, come on, get involved till the mystery is solved. Hang around with the LBC crew. That's the podcast. LBC crew. Welcome back from the break. Let's continue on with the show. Now it's time to scan through the featured issue of Green Lantern Volume 3, number 54, for the top ads that stood out to us in a segment called Add It Up. Here are the ads that stood out to us in this issue. And let's begin with Delvin. What ad did you find fascinating?
None of them, really. If I'm honest, I looked at it, I saw the ads, and all of them were like, so I will, with that in mind, looking at it, and I know Jared's going to riff on it. Like the one that I saw that I was kind of like, what could they be talking about? About nothing can prepare you. But I saw the lightning bolt. I'm like, oh, I know it. I'll tell you what. I'll leave that up to Jared to talk about because I'm sure he's excited about it. The one that I'll say that I at least saw and kind of question was, it was like Six Flags, number 2 in gaining. And I was like, well, what's the number 1? I mean, oh. Oh yeah,
you wish upon
yeah,
It's me, Delvin.
I'm number 1. How did you forget, you son of a? So yeah, once I saw that, it did remind me of some fun times. Like it was a big deal as a kid if your folks took you to Six Flags. And I remember back in the day, like there was like before we would go in there, we like eat food and stuff before, and I was like thinking in my head, like, well, why can't we just buy food inside? And then when I became an adult, I see why we ate food on the outside and then eat food on the inside. Food on the inside, high as hell. Yeah. So you pack your sandwiches, eat it on the outside, then you go and do all the rides, have your fun, eat some more food on the way home. Call it a day.
We would have like senior trips that
you don't look that old.
Yeah, believe it or not, I wasn't. But for our senior trip, we went to Great America, which is probably about 3 hours away from us in Illinois from Wisconsin. But
yeah, we did that too in high school. I remember going for us, it was like the kids who took calculus. To go. And they gave you like this calculus worksheet to figure out how fast is the ride going on this loop. And nobody filled out the sheet.
I don't care. I puked on that piece of paper. But fun times. And you know, I tried to relive those memories that we had with my kids. And we would go and we went there, and it's like a lot of shops and all that were closed down. And it's like, man, this isn't what it used to be. So kind of sad to see it that way. But good times. Good memories. Jason, what ad stood out for you?
I think for me, it's the Denny O'Neil Batman, the Nightfall, the prose edition, the novel edition. Mm-hmm. It just kind of stood out for me because I left here because I was trying to see if I could find my copy of it. I scored one at a yard sale not too long ago. So really, I thought that was neat. And it reminded me, Jared, you once got me it wasn't the Nightfall, but it was a collection of Batman's short stories. And you even signed the inside of it. It was like, to my brother, Jason, love Jarrod. So, and I still have it on my bookshelf. So that one I found, but I couldn't find the Nightfall one I just bought.
Did it say love Jarrod and his friend, DARRYL Banks?
No, it didn't. But he didn't know DARRYL Banks at that time.
True.
I'll take that, and then we can take that book to see DARRYL Banks next time we go to Heroes Con, and then DARRYL Banks can sign that book as
well. Shameless plug from that very book is that if you get the Batman 89 sketch that I have on my www.theyardsalers.com, it's a page from the Nightfall book.
Oh, nice.
Oh, interesting.
Because I found one at a yard sale too. And I've actually read that book cover to cover back in.
Yeah, I've heard it's very good.
Yeah, it's
adds
great.
More depth.
I read that one, and I read Roger Stern's novelization of Doomsday, the Superman Doomsday.
Oh, awesome. Well, Jarrod, it is your turn to tell us what ad stood out to you.
All right. Well, I was going to go with Nightfall to plug my art, but I did that anyway. And Delvin kind of teed me up for the second Mortal Monday ad because the original Mortal Monday was 1993. It was September 13th, 1993. And that was when Mortal Kombat was released, I think, for home consoles. And so they basically were bringing that back a year later because the old ad said nothing can prepare you. And this one said nothing can prepare you. And they don't really have anything else on there, but everybody knew this was Mortal Kombat 2 because it's like 1 year later, it's September again. It's another Mortal Monday. They use the word nothing twice. And I think that's one of the cool things about the ad. It's just clouds and a lightning bolt. Says nothing can prepare you. It says September 1994, Super NES, Genesis, Game Boy, Game Gear, and it does say Midway and Acclaim at the bottom. And nowhere does it say, maybe in that tiny little print at the bottom, it might say something about Mortal Kombat. There's no Mortal Kombat logo.
Mhm.
It's just I like the way they're kind of reusing the year ago ad campaign of Nothing Can Compare. I mean, it's like legendary. Like you can see it in your head, that commercial with the kid in the street, Mortal Kombat. Like everybody comes running out. Like that was the original Mortal Monday. And here they're doing it again for Mortal Kombat 2, which I actually do think is the pinnacle of Mortal Kombat games. I think no game has ever been better than 2. But that's just me.
Would you say it's the culmination?
Culmination. I really missed the opportunity there, didn't I, Jason?
You did.
Anyways, Pat, did you get to go?
Yeah, still need to go.
Yeah.
Hey, before we do, quick round the horn. Favorite Mortal Kombat character to play, Pat?
Oh, I am not a
fighting games.
Yeah. Thank you, Jarrod, for just telling
I'm sorry. I thought I was on mute.
Yeah. Not a fighting game, Jarrod.
Yeah. No, I like, but I'll say I liked Raiden. Who wouldn't like Raiden when the guy just, shooting? But I just suck at fighting games.
What was his sound effect again?
Okay. That's lightning.
I sucked at it too, but we all had our favorites. Jarrod, who is your favorite?
Ooh, I've played so much. It's hard. Liu Kang. That's the first guy. The first finishing moves I learned was Liu Kang. I know it's generic as hell, but Liu Kang. Liu Kang was my guy.
I'm with Raiden. I love that hat trick.
Yeah.
Saw the hat thing.
Delvin's back just in time for us to ask him.
Delvin, Lightning Fire, who is your favorite Mortal Kombat character to play in the video game?
Liu Kang.
2 Liu Kangs, 2 Raidens.
2 cool guys. 2 Liu guys. Delvin, you and I are Liu Kang guys.
2 Raging Raidens.
And Pat and Jason are Raiden.
Yeah, I mean, I just that forward A, forward B for that kick or the fire, but come on. It was just
I couldn't tell you any of the moves or whatever. I'm a button masher, so
yeah, especially Mortal Kombat 2, you hold down low kick for I think it's 10 or 12 seconds, something like that. And then as soon as you release, he does that flying bicycle. I would own people with that thing. Oh, why are you only playing defense? Why are you only playing? Oh, in your face.
Oh man, fun times.
I think you need to still tell us your favorite ad, Pat.
I am going to choose The Shadow. For the movie The Shadow is coming out, and this time.
Oh, that poster is so baller.
It is. It's awesome. It just very cool looking. You have, just his nose and his kind of the brim you can see, and just the eyes, piercing eyes. I love this movie. I'd say it was a good favorite movie. Alec Baldwin was The Shadow, and just there's something about the early mystery kind of figures like this, comic book hero-y kind of figures like this. I always thought that there was some sort of a really cool mystery about him that I really liked. Maybe I'm a sucker for a guy in a fedora and a hat and all that and a trench coat. But I really enjoyed this movie and remember going to watch it when it came out.
I don't remember much about it, but I remember liking it.
Yeah, same here. I'd love to watch it again. It's one of those movies I'm always on the lookout for yard sale and stuff on DVD because I'd love to add it to my Plex. I just haven't come across it yet.
For some reason, I don't remember it being good. But I have nothing to back that up with at all.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't say it was overly, it wasn't no Batman 89. But I enjoyed it for what it was. And, I don't think they've ever have had another Shadow movie come out. Would be kind of cool to see one now.
Yeah. Didn't they have like Billy Zane as the Phantom?
The Phantom one was, kind of around the same
really
time.
Kind of, finding that pulp era.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
Back
pulpy character.
Yeah, you're right.
I really liked it. And I know there was, around this time, there was some resurgent of comics for The Shadow. I think The Shadow Strikes was possibly a series that was starting to come out again.
So he was like, I won't be the Shadow until my demands are met.
Yes.
Get it? The Shadow Strikes.
What do we want? Sunlight. When do we want it now?
Then like Batman goes to patrol the city. He's like, scab. Are these strike jokes doing it for you people?
Oh, man. All right. Well, I think with that, why don't we move forward before we get any further down this hole? Well, you got a comment or a question or want to share a ad or a memory with us? Go ahead and contact us at longboxcrusade.com or comment on the Longbox Crusade Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram page. You can also call us and leave a voicemail about what your thoughts are. Leave us a message at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone.
Now let's continue on with the next segment called Way Back in Time.
Once again, it is time to take another revealing peek back into history.
What famous date shall I set it to today, Mr. Peabody?
August 1994.
Got it.
For some major news from August 1994, Jarrod, what do you have?
On August 4th in 1994, a truck carrying millions of bees overturned on a New York parkway, and it was all the buzz that day.
It sure was.
And I think there was a Sting concert later that night. Something about honey.
I was going to say, oh, honey.
Something Yellow Jacket.
All right, I think we get your point.
Pollination.
Pollination.
There we go. And with that, Delvin, what historical event are you going to pick?
I'm going to go with August 29th. British band Oasis released their debut album, Definitely Maybe, becomes the fastest selling album ever in the UK.
Today is going to be the day that it gets... Oh.
I will forever associate.
Now you got to somehow realize what you got.
I'm sorry,
to do.
I wound it up.
It's okay, you did. I will forever associate that album with freshman year of college because of my very good friend, Harold Albert Lemaire. He came from Germany and he loved Oasis. And so this CD played on repeat every time I was in his room or nearby him. And so I always associate it with freshman year. Great album and a great friend. I miss Al. I wish I got to see him more.
Very cool. Yeah.
Am I crazy or is this the only album they ever released?
No. They released plenty. They claimed that they were going to be bigger than the Beatles. They were not bigger than the Beatles, but they were a very much so a pretty big band in their own right. I mean,
they were talented. Definitely.
Yeah, that's some good songs. Yeah,
the brothers.
And after all,
the brothers hated each other. Hated each other. You know how you and Jarrod are, Jason? Not like that. Like hated each other. Like they did.
But
MTV,
they were successful.
But they were successful. There was an MTV Unplugged that they did, and I can't remember which brother, but one of the brothers said, "I'm not doing the show." And so the other brother's like, "Well, we got to do the show." So he did the show, and the other brother sat in the audience and booed him. that's how bad they hated each other. Like that's some hate right there.
Wow,
Jason, your turn, my friend.
Well, if Jarrod and I did hate each other, that would be the kind of stuff we would do.
We do that stuff anyway.
Yeah, you're right. We don't even hate each other. At any rate, okay, I'm going to pick on August 1st, Baltimore shortstop Cal Ripken Jr. becomes only the second player after Lou Gehrig to appear in 2,000 consecutive Major League Baseball games in a 1-0 win versus the Twins.
Insane.
Iron Horse.
Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll finish us off with August 23rd. Jeff Buckley releases his album Grace, featuring his cover of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. Man, Hallelujah. That's just the melody on that is just a
Hallelujah.
Love it.
Hallelujah. I think the Watchmen ruined that song for me.
Yeah, it's been used in a few different things.
It was awkward in that movie.
Yeah, that kind of threw you off.
I was like, what the hell's going on? I need an adult. I feel uncomfortable. I need an adult.
Please don't throw us any shade. Like, subscribe to Longbox Crusade. We need some likes. Will you do it? Will ya?
I thought he was going somewhere with it, and then he just.
Did you? Did you really think he was going somewhere?
Yeah, it was started off pretty good, and I'm like, "Ooh, maybe he's got something here. Let's see where it goes."
I got
Did it
boo, boo.
Put down
Say
your lamb.
maybe.
Don't chew the mutton. Like and subscribe. Smash that like button.
Oh, let's go ahead.
Finally gets good internet. This is what we get.
Yeah.
Back a horse.
Let's go ahead and get to the top 3 movies for August 1994. Jarrod, start us off with number 3.
Coming in at number 3 is a movie called Natural Born Killers. It made over $50 million. I've seen it, and I can't tell you why. I don't like it.
I've never
This
seen
has been Jared's movie review.
All I know is that Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis. So I remember they just killed a lot of people. They were crazy.
I don't like it. And this has been Jarrod Albrecht's movie review.
Quick and dirty movie reviews with Jarrod.
Fair enough, sir. Fair enough. The number 2 movie of August 1994, making almost $67 million, was The Little Rascals.
Oh, tight.
With Spanky. Mitch Giovanni was in it. And,
Nick Vijaykanth. Nickety!
That is like the deepest of deep cuts. Like people have to listen to like 3 different podcasts to get across that all the T's on that one.
It's up to them. They'll get
if
out of
you
it what
get
they
all
put into
those,
it.
let us know in the comments that you got that.
All right. I guess that leaves it up to me. The number 1 movie. Oh, I love this movie. It's really good. Clear and Present Danger. Action movie that raked in over $207 million. Worth every penny.
Is that the one where they go to South America?
It is the one where they go to South America.
Okay, yeah, I kind of like that one too. Willem Dafoe was pretty cool in that.
Is
It's all
Clark?
coming back to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sniper, how did you get so close to me?
It was definitely a good movie. Let's go ahead and get to the top 3 songs according to Billboard at this time. Coming in at number 3 is Fantastic Voyage by Coolio. Come along,
get right on a
Fantastic ride, slippity slide. Is it Living in the City is Do or Die? Is that the
Yes.
next thing? Yeah, I got it.
I got Living on the Highway doing 65. I don't know. But anyway, I guess.
Whatever.
It's one of those songs that you're like, I don't know what the lyrics are. I make up my own lyrics to it.
Oh, my goodness. All right, number 2. I swear, Pat. No, seriously, that's number 2. It's I Swear. All for one. And I swear.
By the moon and the stars in your eyes, the skies, whatever.
For better or worse.
Till death do us part.
Damn it, this is the only one I know.
I swear.
Y'all bring us home with number 1.
Number 1 is a song like I absolutely don't know because I'm all man.
He knows it.
You know it.
I know it too.
It is Stay, I Missed You from the Reality Bite soundtrack by Lisa Loeb and the 9 stories that you say. I only hear what I want to. That song's awesome. That song is great. I will stand by that.
You know what I like is that recent commercials that had like Lisa Loeb. She's starting to sing that song again. I can't remember what commercial it was for, but like they brought her back to do that. And I'm like, oh, there's Lisa Loeb. She's singing You Stay. And I thought it was very
fun
good.
fact about Lisa Loeb, to bring it back to comic books. One of my very favorite shows of all time was the animated Spider-Man TV show on MTV.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she was the voice of Mary Jane.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Neil Patrick Harris was the voice of Spider-Man. It was a good show. It was really good.
Interesting.
How she beat me out for that, I don't know.
Damn it. Now I can't watch that show without hearing Jason's voice. And
Peter,
You say.
I'm hungry.
Talk, but I want to.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, man. That was a Reality Bite soundtrack. The Reality Bite soundtrack, man, that is a good album. That's an album you can listen to from front to back.
He's got a good song by Big Mountain on there, doesn't it?
There's a lot of great songs on that. Yeah, I think
I'm not aware of it, but now I feel like I need to listen to it.
It's one of those movies where you watch as a teenager, you're like, man, this is so deep. And then you watch it when you're older, you're like, this is dumb as hell.
But the music's good. Oh, all right. Well, that's going to bring
This has been another quick movie review with Jarrod. I'm sorry, Pat. Go ahead.
This is going to bring us to the end of this part of the show. You got a comment or a question, send us an email at contact@longboxcrusade.com. You can also follow and leave a comment on Twitter at LongboxCrusade. We will be right back.
This is an imaginary podcast, which may never have happened,
The Shortbox Showcase.
but then again may have, about a father and daughter. I'm Professor Allen,
And I'm Emily.
who came from Ohio and talked about comics.
Identity Crisis.
Lone Wolf and Cub,
Hergé's Tintin.
White Tiger. It tells of their rise to glory, when the great guests were yet to be booked.
I didn't know this was going to be the Jimmy Olsen Hate Podcast.
It's always the Jimmy Olsen Hate Podcast.
And the great feats of editing not yet performed.
Ultraman, this is Ultra 7, this is Ultraman Jack, and this is Ultraman Taro, and this is Ultraman Leo, and this is
Of how they spoke at length.
When I read a comic, story comes first and art comes second.
Continuity is really the brainchild of nitpicking nerds the world over.
Those are our people, Emily. And reviewed in brief tales that explore creatively the bounds of a given character's history.
Superman has basically the same relationship with Wonder Woman that he has with Batman.
Of brilliant creators before their fall from grace. This is the era where Miller is at the height of his creative and artistic powers, and the ability of strong writing to encapsulate and transcend its time.
Flash of Two Earths by Gardner Fox.
This is an imaginary podcast. Aren't they all? Shortbox Showcase is part of the Relatively Geeky family of podcasts. Check us out on the web at relativelygeekypodcast.blogspot.com or search in iTunes for Relatively Geeky or Shortbox Showcase. And remember, we're not experts.
We're just family.
Welcome back from the break. Now, let's get to the feedback part of the show where we share your comments, emails, questions, likes, and shares in a segment called Crusader Comments. We are thrilled to kick off these comments with special shout outs to our Crusader Club members. These are the fine folks that have joined our crusade. They enjoy early access to special Longbox episodes, voting to help determine show content, and so much more. These are the folks reaping the benefits and giving some much appreciated support to the show.
And Helica Wolf.
Albert Elvis.
Blast it or stash it with my friend Darryl Banks.
Braxton Underwood.
Clinton Robeson.
Captain Entropy.
Dave Collins. You know him as Darryl Banks.
Ezra Gallo.
Gary V.
Gene Hendricks.
Gerald Green Lantern, drawn by Darryl Banks.
Jason Kane.
Jeremy L.
Well, boys, I am on a roll with Jim Jarman. I hope you like Jim Jarman too.
Joe Thomas is a good guy, just like Darryl Banks.
John Watson.
Josh Strickland.
Candace Ward.
Captivating Kathy Bright, the MVP, who was with me at Dragon Con when I met Darryl Banks.
Mark Ross, a.k.a. Cluck Trent.
Maxwell Traver.
Miranda W.
PD or Pimp Daddy Devins. Never heard of Darryl Banks,
Probably. Paul Hicks.
Rick from Jeff and Rick Present.
Rob Morgan.
Ryan Daly knows about Darryl Banks.
Yes, he does. Samantha Maney.
Sean Urbanski.
Spidey 67.
Spreadsheet, sort by Darryl Banks.
Steve Cronin.
Tim Price.
Tony Pennington.
And the Toronto cop once arrested Darryl for Banks robbery.
If we missed anyone on our list, possibly Darryl Banks, we apologize. Please keep in mind that we record these episodes well in advance of release. So if you're a recent addition, we should be adding you soon. But no worries. Just let us know that we missed you by sending an email to contact@longboxcrusade.com and we'll get it straightened out. As a reminder, you can become a Crusaders Club member by heading over to patreon.com and searching for Longbox Crusade. For as little as $1 a month, you'll get access to the amazing world of the Crusaders Club. Come check it out. Don't have any extra scratch lying around, but still want to help us out here at LBC headquarters? please take a moment to write a review on iTunes for this podcast. Even if you just want to keep it short with just star ratings, it helps raise the profile of the show, and we will share your review on the next show. Now, let's talk about some social media shares and retweets from Longbox Crusade episode 33. We talked about G.I. Joe number 43 from January 1986. I had a few shares and retweets. Thank you to Kirk Spencer, G.I. Gary, and Aaron Bossick. And now we will move on to social media comments.
And now I will grab the first one here from Jeremy Thorpe, who simply says, great cover.
That was the cover with the skeleton shooting the M60,
Yeah,
right?
it was.
Yeah,
It
was good.
Iconic cover, that one was. I'll take one from Jason Griffith. And Jason says, thank you for sharing. Love that cover. Remember the day I saw it on the spinner rack. Awesome. Had to pick it up. A lot of people commenting about the cover.
I'm going to take one from comic book artist DARRYL Banks, who said, all right, I'm going to take one from Kevin M. Reitzel. I had to take this one from Kevin because he said, I heard this issue is pretty good. I should read it. And if you listen to G.I. Joe, a Real American Headcast, where I'm on there with Kevin and Aaron Head Moss, this is like Kevin's favorite comic ever, period. So he was being understated there. But thanks for checking that out, Kevin.
Last but not least, there is a comment from Daniel Vasquez, who simply says, awesome cover. And we all agree that it is an awesome cover. You can call us and leave a voicemail that we just might play on the show. Leave us a message at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX. And Pat, you haven't had a chance yet, so it's all yours.
Pick up the phone.
Beautiful. Beautiful, my friend. Thank you to everyone for the likes, shares, follows, and comments. We appreciate your friendship and your help in spreading the word about this podcast.
And that's the show. Be sure to check out the website longboxcrusade.com, where posts will be made for journaling this crusade. I want to thank Jarrod, Jason, Delvin for joining me on this episode. But before we go, let's find out where the listeners can find us on the internet. Jason.
You can find me at Weasel Skull on Twitter or at Jason Albrick on Facebook and Instagram.
Delvin?
You can find me on my website. I am actually DARRYLBanks.com. It was me, Jarrod. It was me.
It was Old Man Williams the whole time.
Just kidding, folks. You can find me on Twitter at DEE_RAY1977. Jarrod, your turn.
I am at Yard Sale Artist. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram is all at Yard Sale Artist. And of course, you can check out my artwares at www.theyardsaleartist.com. Pat.
Well, DARRYL Banks, I am glad you asked. You can find me on the Twitter at Christatos01. And if you want to interact with us via live chat and be entered to win some free stuff on our live raffles, be sure to join us on the next episode of Doing It live stream over on our YouTube channel. We do them every second Sunday of the month, starting at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you get out there. Find the Longbox Crusade on YouTube, like it, subscribe it, and click the bell for notifications of when we go live. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Longbox Crusade. You got a comment or a question, email us at contact@longboxcrusade.com or leave a comment on the Longbox Crusade Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter page, all at Longbox Crusade. Until next time, take care, and please join us on our next episode as we continue on the crusade to
Read them all!
The intro music is provided by musical genius Joe November.
Check out his SoundCloud at JOSEFLIN99. You won't regret it.
All songs, song clips, and characters discussed are copyright of their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended. We are just fans that like to share our love of comics.
Outtakes.
Got to do one, but you know what?
Do it live.
Do it live.
I would do it.
We'll do it live.
Everybody, hit your nuts. Let's go.
Hammer, bam. Let's go.
Let's go.
Oh, man. By submitting your comments, memories, and such and all that for 1984 for the Green Lantern. Or 1994, yeah. God, why do I keep saying that? I'm so stuck in the 80s. All right.
You're still preoccupied with 1985, yeah.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Went down there way before Nirvana. There was YouTube and Franklin. Music still on MTV.
Kids in high school keep telling me that I'm uncool.
Just sitting here rolling the internet dice at Jason's house. That's all you're doing.
Oh man, it's been great. I'm gonna talkity.
Anyway, okay.
Pat, you went full Sean Connery there. I don't know if you caught yourself. Instagram.
I know. I was kind of like, I'm between Instagram and like Instagram cracker. I was
Instagram and Facebook.
Add it up. Add it up. See what you got. You got to add it up.
And coming in at number 3 was Slide, Slippery Slide. Ooh, I just lost the lyrics for this one.
That's all right. So did Jason.
Quick movie reviews with Jarrod.
This movie sucks.
So I turn the radio on, and this woman was singing my songs. Lover's in love cause the other run away. Lover is fine cause the other one said. I can sing the whole song.
I miss you.
I miss you.
Some other lover who was waiting for another who was dying since the day they were born. Just let us know that we missed you by sending an email to contact@longboxcrusade.com and we'll get it straightened out. As a reminder, yes.
Kelvin.
Yes.
We missed you. We miss you. You say, but I miss you.
What? Why? Why did you jump in there?
What are you doing, Pat?
No,
As a reminder,
I'll cut it out.
That wasn't me. I'm just pointing this out that it's not me.
This time, you know what? Somehow this was Jason's. Jason! Is everyone on mute? I'm not looking. I feel everyone's muted now.
Kelvin, yes, we are all on mute.
No, you're not because you. Anyone else? Anyone else for shenanigans? I'm surprised. I was expecting shenanigans.
If you're sitting on the you can find me on Twitter. A weasel skull while your breakfast moves through. Yeah,
it is not getting any better. Lisa Loeb would not want you to stay. This is where I'm going with.
She's been. Please leave. I don't want to hear you talk anymore.
Wish you would go away.